Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. We are continuing our study of the parable of the absent master, Matthew 25:14 and following, and how that relates to Acts chapter 1. Now, let me be very clear here. Most commentators see that the parable of the absent master of Matthew chapter 25:14 and following is in fact directly parallel with Acts chapter 1 and the promise that Christ would come in like manner as you see him go. So that's really not debated. Not to say it's not debatable in some quarters. I don't think it's debatable. I think they're precisely the same. I mean, one's a parable and one's prosaic, but they are the same. The debate comes in, as I shared with you even yesterday, the debate comes in saying, okay, if Matthew 25:14 and following is the same as Acts chapter 1, then why is it the parable of the absent vineyard master in Matthew 21:33 and following the same? Why isn't the parable in Luke chapter 19 especially parallel as well? I mean, after all, how in the world are you going to divorce Luke chapter 19 from Matthew 25:14 and following? How are you going to divorce it from Acts chapter 1? In Luke 19, you have the nobleman going into a far country there to receive a kingdom. That is Acts chapter 1, ladies and gentlemen. And so the debate actually comes in because the scholars and commentators understand that Matthew 21:33, Luke chapter 19 are about AD 70. But then they want to change horses right in the middle of the stream and say, oh, well, yeah, but Matthew 25:14 and following, that's something different. Well, I've posed the question before. Is it a different going away? No one says it is. If it's not a different going away, then how is it argued that it's a different return? That's problematic for the futurist view. Now, we go back to Acts chapter 1 to dig a little bit deeper into the terminology of in like manner. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are told emphatically, repeatedly, vehemently, in like manner refers to how Jesus looked, how his physical body looked. We are told it refers to the substance, the somatic substance of his biological body. That is not the focus of the text. I cannot emphasize this too much. As you have seen him taken from you, he will come in like manner. It does not say, take a look at his body, guys, because that same body is coming back. No, the emphasis in the text is on he was taken up in a cloud out of their sight. That's the emphasis of in like manner. The substance of his body is not the focus. Now, let me illustrate that by going, there are any number of passages that we could go to, but one of my very favorite ones is to go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 12, and then again in Revelation 19 that we'll get to here momentarily, maybe. Now, John said, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, which basically means through the Spirit he was transported to the Lord's day, to the day of the Lord, to the coming of the Lord. That's the view of many, many scholars, by the way. That's not a preterist interpretation. It is a common interpretation, and I believe it's absolutely 100% correct, because through the Holy Spirit, John was transported to see the events that were shortly to come to pass. So in Revelation chapter 1, John said, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and I heard behind me a loud voice, as of a trumpet. A trumpet. Hang on to that. Saying, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. Boy, this is such incredible language. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that terminology, the first and the last, is taken directly from Isaiah to describe the Father, to describe Yahweh. And in Isaiah, we find two Yahwehs, the Father and the Son. We have Yahweh's Yahweh. We have the Lord saying to his Lord. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand. The Father said to Jesus. So, Jesus was not saying he was the Father, as some have wrongly interpreted it. He was saying, however, he is God. The full deity of Christ is expressed in these words. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the first and the last. And again, in Isaiah 41, Isaiah 43, I am the first and the last. I am God. There is none else. I will not give my glory to another. And yet Jesus said, Father, give me again the glory that I had with you. With means face-to-face glory before the world began. John chapter 17, 2 and following. Now I say all of that to set the context for what Jesus is saying. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the first and the last. Now watch this. What you see, write in a book. Send it to the 7 churches which are in Asia, Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. Then I turned to see the voice that spoke with me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. I turned to see a voice, and I saw lampstands. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the feet, girded about the chest with a golden band. His head and his hair were white like wool, as white as snow. His eyes were like the flame of fire. His feet were like brass, as if refined in a furnace. His voice as the sound of many waters. He had in his right hand 7 stars. Out of his mouth went a sharp, 2-edged sword, and his countenance was like the sun, shining in its strength. Okay, this is Jesus. This is Jesus after his ascension. This is not Jesus in his incarnate body of biological substance. It is not that biological body that the apostles saw ascending out of their sight. This is the heavenly Jesus. Now, was he like the Son of Man? Yeah, that's what John says. But compare the biological substance appearance of Acts chapter 1 and the appearance of Christ in Revelation 1:11 and following. Is there a generic resemblance. Well, here's Jesus in a biological substance of a human being and a Jew, if you please. And in Revelation, nothing that John says in describing Jesus resembles that 5'5" Jewish man in Acts chapter 1. So let me ask you a question. In Acts chapter 1, if the focus is on that human Jewish man form, the substance of that form, and he has to come back in that manner, then does he not have to put off the form, if you please, the substance of Revelation chapter 1? The glory of Revelation 1? Does he not have to put that off? Now remember, Jesus said, "And now, Father, glorify me with the glory that I had with you before the world began." Revelation 1 is that glory. Now, this is a theophany, to be sure. But do you see the point? If you're going to argue for biological identicality in Acts chapter 1, then Revelation chapter 1 and the appearance and the description of Christ in the day of the Lord envisioned by John are two different things. Now we've got a problem, Houston. It's very clear that in like manner has nothing to do with visible identicality. And Revelation 1, 11 to 13, actually all the way down to verse 16, is definitive proof of that. Okay, thank you for joining me for this morning's morning musing. Do not forget, November 2021, U.S. orders only. The elements shall melt with fervent heat. The meaning behind the manner. It's a special study of Acts chapter 1, ladies and gentlemen, by my friend Dan Derry. It's a remarkable, excellent, and easy reading book. And then, like father, like son. Regular price. If you purchase independently or separately, paid independent shipping costs you $63. Okay? For the month of November 2021, U.S. orders only, total delivered price, $39.95. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. There's a tab right up at the very top. Just click on it and order the special. I can assure you, you'll be glad you did. Okay, thanks for joining me. Read Revelation 19 in preparation for tomorrow. Okay? I'll see you on the flip side.